is a movement like we've never seen in the history of our country.
Wisconsin is Trump country.
And that's what this fight is all about. We're taking on the failed political establishment and restoring government of, by, and for the people. It's the people. You're the people. You won the election.
We love this country. We love Donald Trump.
Promises made, promises kept.
We support President Trump.
This is epic.
Donald Trump is our president!
With every last ounce of heart and hope and sweat and soul, we are going to make our stand. We are going to stand for liberty. We are going to stand for justice. We are going to stand for freedom. And we are going to stand for the sacred rights given to us by the hand of Almighty God. You joined our movement, the greatest movement in the history of our country. You protected your family. You defended your dignity. You recaptured your destiny. And you took back your country with that great election 2.5 years ago. We are one united movement, one united people, and one United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
You have always been loyal to this nation. Now you finally have a president who is loyal to you. Every day between now and November 2020, we are going to keep on working, we are going to keep on fighting, and we are going to keep on winning, winning, winning. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. Which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes starting right here and right now.
Welcome to the Patriot Hour for Sunday evening.
It is it's a good one. It's been a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend yourself. Sunday, September 20th, 2020. We have a very special guest here this evening. Douglas Cirignano. If you guys remember, I had him on a few times right before the festival, or several months before. So he's back. We're going to delve into a few talking points, things that we want to discuss with you, the Patriots here. Everyone, welcome. I see we have a great amount of in the room already, close to 700. Again, great book. We had a few of these at the fest. A few Patriots were lucky enough to get them. Of course, we got one here. I have just got a little bit into that. My wife had that in her possession. So, again, check the website out. We are heavily shadow banned here. We never try to shove down your throat what we think. You know, we don't ever lie, folks. We always go over all of, we do our research. We give you D-Class. We give you FOIA requested information, Freedom of Information Act. You've looked at WikiLeaks. You've got to see these people. Instead of believing them all the time, you can read their emails. You don't have to listen to them explain away why this or that, or this is what they meant. Sometimes there's exchanges, all right, right in their own emails. And it's kind of hard to backtrack on that. So we bring you that. Love your new shirt. Yes, you guys, the white shirts are on the website. Check that out. Again, we are heavily shadow banned, and we got demonetized right at the beginning of the COVID, right when everyone else is getting sent home, having to stay home by mandates, which, by the way, we're going to get into a little bit tonight here. Churches were shut down. Other than that, you got judges all over the country deeming the state's bans to be, unconstitutional. We've dug into all these things. The Constitution tells you the right to freely assemble, not because some guy in a lab coat with a couple of credentials can shut down the whole world. That's, even Barr was getting into that. We've seen these states now. 2 years ago, I've been talking about the orchestrated rioting, the planned attacks, the riots that are going on, and everyone thought, well, there ain't no riots going on, but now you look out and they've been all around the country. The military moved all around the country at the beginning of the COVID. You saw tanks, you saw all these pictures and all these videos getting sent in here to the channel alone, not to mention all around the internet. So what was, everyone's like, you don't need a tank to fight the COVID. Well, no. You need the tanks and the military and possible National Guard for the unrest that is now taking place, only to peak probably on election night. Are they going to steal the election right out in the open on election night? Probably not. It'll probably be the way they wanted it to go, is Trump will win by the people that voted. But over the next week and months, the mail will come in, and they're planning on it probably that way. All right, we're going to jump into it here without further ado. Again, give this video a thumbs up. Help us beat the algorithms. Share this video out right now. Get as many of your friends and family here as you can. Help us. Just sharing this video helps, all right? That across all of your social media platforms. And again, check out the links down below. I'm going to be adding, if I didn't already, Douglas's email or website, which is going to be right down below. You can click that and get right over there and find you the book. We're going to go over several things this evening, and we appreciate each and every one of you being here. All right. Douglas, how's it going?
Good. Nice to be back, Mike. Thanks.
Yes, glad you are back here with us. Again, for everyone new here tonight that didn't maybe get to see you in the last few episodes we did together, why don't you take a minute and explain yourself, why you were here, what made you write books, how did you become to run the website American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups?
Well, yeah, I'm the author of American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups, which is a book of interviews with some of the most famous conspiracy theory authors in the world. I interviewed Jim Marrs on the New World Order, G. Edward Griffin on the Federal Reserve, Professor Noam Chomsky on the mainstream fake news media, and one of Lyndon Johnson's lawyers on the Kennedy assassination. So it's like some of the most famous conspiracy theory authors in the world. And I published by a big publisher in New York, Skyhorse Publishing. And I got getting some good reviews on Amazon and whatnot. And one of the interesting interviews I did was with William Pepper, who was a close friend of Martin Luther King Jr.'s. And I guess we want to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Martin Luther King. Yeah.
So a lot of people know that he, well, you were bringing it up to me that not everyone knows there's actual evidence that shows what? Government involvement?
Yes, everybody knows about the JFK, probably conspiracy information that probably the CIA killed JFK, but it's probably the same with Martin Luther King. The guy I interviewed, William Pepper, he's still alive. He was one of Martin Luther King's closest friends in the last year of his life. And in 1999, he and the King family, they sued this guy who said he was part of a conspiracy that assassinated Dr. King. And at the end of the trial, the jury concluded, it was a civil trial, the jury concluded that, yes, this guy, Lloyd Jowers, was a part of a conspiracy, and also the U.S. government was a part of it. Because Dr. Martin Luther King, he was leading such civil unrest. People were protesting in the streets and whatnot. And so that's probably why the government took him out, And there's some amazing facts related to that. Like, for instance, this woman, Dr. King, he was killed on April 4th, 1968 at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. So, and the guy who confessed, his name is Lloyd Jowers. He owned a restaurant right behind where Dr. King was assassinated. And so this woman, a friend of Lloyd Jowers, she walked into the restaurant at 6 p.m. when Dr. King was assassinated, and then she heard a loud gunshot. And then a minute later, this guy Jowers walked into the restaurant with a rifle, and then he hid it under a counter. And apparently this was the rifle that killed Martin Luther King. And there's a lot of other amazing evidence like that. And it's in my book. I interviewed Dr. Pepper about that. And I guess it's, I wish Dr. King was around these days to talk to these Black Lives Matters guys, because I think Black Lives Matters is the totally opposite agenda of Dr. King. I think he was a great soul. He wanted peace and brotherhood. But Black Lives Matter is a radical, violent group. I think what they're doing is exactly opposite of what Dr. King would have wanted,
Yeah. Oh, I full-heartedly agree. I can't, to me, and I don't say that Black lives don't matter. I feel they do, but I just feel like you can't, it's not what it's lacking of what you say. A lot of people are into this movement. I know they have the right, their heart maybe is in the right place. They feel that, especially if you're black, that there's blacks getting, but man, the media really drives that narrative, because we know that there are more, white people killed by police, but yet it's, there's such a less of the black community. And then if you look at the stops per se, you can heighten things up, but bottom line is, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he would be behind that movement. If you had a head wound, if I was a paramedic and you had a head wound, like you're laying on the ground, you actually had a head wound maybe from a bullet, and then you also had maybe a pinky blown off from a bullet. You got shot a couple times. And if I was a medic and raced onto the scene to help you, and I was like grabbing your hand, like, we're gonna get rid of this finger fixed, and start stitching it up and taking all my time on the finger, you might be more concerned about your head wound that you're bleeding out of. So that's how I feel with Black Lives Matter, with them jumping onto the cop killing black people. That's like number 8 on the list of concern, because number 1, you have like the black on black crime, and they said, we're not talking about that. They went down on a list of things that would be maybe harm, and they went to number 8. And it doesn't quite make sense, because there's 1 through 7 to deal with, which are probably more severe than the police.
I know. If one black person is unjustly killed by a policeman, that's very bad. But it doesn't happen as often as they say. But the real thing is, Black Lives Matters is apparently funded by George Soros, which is a guy who's part of the deep state. And the reason that he funds them is because he wants chaos, and he wants the country to look bad up until the election and try to blame it on Trump, so Trump's not reelected. I mean, it's not an organic uprising, Black Lives Matter. George Soros is one of the deep state billionaires who wants to control the world, and he's funding it. And these guys are getting money from him to create chaos in the hopes that society looks all messed up so Trump won't get reelected. That's basically the reason. I mean, these guys, they burn down buildings, they riot, they loot. What does that have to do with, racial equality or people getting along,
And they're ignoring that. That's like, they're the media or whatever. They're like, these people are protesting. And then when you bring up the burning and looting, which is clearly happening, they just act like those aren't these people. But they are. I believe you're right. I think there's evidence that shows they're on like a city tour, like the funded. It's like a George Soros bus that's taken like a rock band would, a 20 city tour, but the people on there are paid and financed really well to go and incite violence. So I don't, a lot of the people burning aren't, the FBI's own records are showing they're not from that area, because normally people don't burn down your own store that you go to every day. Like, I'm going to burn that place down because now you can't go there. It doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much proven that Soros is funding it. And, if somebody who's out there marching with pictures of Martin Luther King Jr., I'd join that in a minute, but not this Black Lives Matter. They're a violent, radical group. I don't understand. I was just at the public library in New York City, which is the biggest library in the world, I think. They have this big Black Lives Matter banner. And you see all the baseball players wearing Black Lives Matter and the football players, basketball. They don't realize that this group is a radical, violent group, and that's pretty sad.
Well, what do you think that all of these, like you said, they also another point is they're not really talking about the looters and rioters. They're out there burning, looting. I get it. There are protesters that are not doing that and they're not partaking in that. But the ones that are, they're, some are wearing masks, some aren't, but they're arm in arm, but they're not the ones spreading anything. They've literally locked down the churches, but, and I wouldn't want protests locked down either, right? I mean, we want the right to protest, the right to gather, the right to freely assemble, the right to free speech. I mean, there's all those things, great things in our Constitution. So, but yeah, what do you think on that? The churches versus. Well,
that is another thing. I mean, these guys, why aren't they immediately arrested for not social distancing? These Black Lives Matters and Antifa rioters, they're chest to chest, face to face. Most of them, I don't think they're wearing masks, are they?
No.
But they can. But we can't go to church. It's. I don't. Why aren't these guys arrested?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I was thinking about. We can't go to church. I think people who believe in Q that there's a deep state controlling things, and it's the Illuminati even, and these powerful men. They've been controlling things for many years. One of their philosophies, as we know, they want to get to world government. And when they get to world government, one of the things is they don't want religion. They don't want people to be spiritual. They don't want Christianity. That's, a guy named Adam Weishaupt was the founder of Illuminati. This is one of the things he said. He doesn't want, he wants all churches to be shut down. So I think this all is coming from the deep state that we believe is controlling things. They're trying to destroy Christianity and spirituality. In any country where you had good church-going spiritual people, communism couldn't take over, And so I think that's one of the reasons that they're not letting us go to church, but they let Black Lives Matter for what they're doing. It's pretty ridiculous.
That's a good point, because it's like, well, how are they going to, one of the hardest things researching in 20 years of the Illuminati is, okay, the one world money, the one world government, the UN takeover. I mean, all those things are logical. You don't have to agree with them. You could just wake up one morning and be like, wow, they got rid of money and we're on a one world money, whatever. You don't have to agree with it. They can implement it. But the religion one always baffled me until I kind of dug in and figured out a way that they could do this. And that's when I come up with the fake alien invasion. Because that was another plan of the deep state, Project Bluebeam, any of that, whatever. They were going to show on TV, ships landing, possible these politicians like Nancy Pelosi shaking the hand to some alien. I don't know how they do it, but that would be a way. And then they'd say, we've been talking with these things, and, well, they're telling us that they made you. And that could, like, knock out God, try to anyway, Christianity. That would be one of the, and I'm not saying that is, that's one of the ways I came up with in my own head. researching everything, because I was trying to think, how are they going to how do they knock that out?
Yeah. That was one of their crazy plans. Maybe scare us, tell us that aliens are invading, right?
Yeah.
So I really think, the fact we can't go to church, I think it has something to do with the deep state trying to wipe out Christian values and spiritual, that gives people power. Didn't Trump try to do something about that a couple of months ago? He said, we're going to make it so people can go to church. But then he realized that the governors and the mayors are the ones who have to control things. Is that it? Because he was trying to do something about it.
Yeah, no, I honestly think, see, in probably like you researching the Illuminati, the whole, deep state Illuminati, there's a lot of names for it, folks, pretty much get you out of the same thing. That, it was going to be government. In my research and most other truthers came to the conclusion that it was going to be the federal government coming to knock on your door, kicking it in and taking us and putting us in internment camps. Well, man, this whole time we haven't seen the federal government do really much any overreaching. It's been the local state governors and mayors, and not all of them. Some states have done absolutely nothing during this COVID. Other states have just overreached. As far as like New York, even, we're going to put a $50 fine on you for not wearing a mask if you're on the subway systems and stuff like that. It's like we're getting to witness it now, and it's worse in some states than others, unfortunately. But you have to show the people sometimes. It's almost like, well, what are you going to do? Stop their plan and just come out with it? They were going to put mask on you and force you to wear it, and everyone's like, oh, we didn't even see anything with mask. And so how do you get the mayor in trouble for possibly doing something that he was going to do? We can call it conspiring. They're going to conspire to be treasonous to the people, but actually they were treasonous to the people at this point now. And that's what Barr's coming out and saying, that the one judge overruled down in Pennsylvania that the whole ban, the 250 gatherings, was unconstitutional. None of us have gone to court. We haven't been put on house arrest. We have no reason for our First Amendments to be played with. So I think that's setting some precedents. And also digging into it, we've been at war since right after 9/11 with the war on terror. The whole Patriot Act was enforced. So that's given us, we're in this certain state since then. And then Trump got in and declared the war on human trafficking went over to the head of the CIA, slammed his fist down and declared that was one of his first orders of business. Now they're saying the only third thing he needs to do to really overflip this is pull the Insurrection Act. Even if it's a day before the election, that'll give him a leg to stand on in these treasonous states where we know that you could just look at the ones that are burning and the mayors aren't doing anything, that you have a leg to stand on when the votes start coming back juiced up and jacked up, that he has a right in the courts to say, well, the insurrection was pulled. We have a right that we think there's treasonous. If you have a mayor and a governor that's working with China and doing under the deal tables and then all these other crazy things on you, it's treason, sedition. There's all these rules. I mean, so there's actual physical things that are not conspiracies. Now is Trump applying them, and is Trump going to do it? It seems like he's right on the verge. And now we're hearing his talk. We hear him every time he talks, and we're hearing Barr, and they're calling out all these mayors and stuff, and people are like, wow, acting like it's ridiculous what they're saying, but it's really not. It's, I call these people burning and looting domestic terrorists. That's what they showed me with McVeigh. That's what they showed me with the white guy that blew up a building with the and I don't even believe that story, but I'll give you, or, the people out there, I'll shove you the government, their mainstream talking point that they said what was, the official narrative. Let's call it that, the official narrative.
But Trump could take some power in which he would he could take power away from the states, and then maybe
they can lose electoral college votes. They can. It's all part of the nothing that Trump made up when he got in. This is stuff that's in the USC codes and all of that, and then even in our Constitution. But if you have a state, and then they can lose electoral college votes because of the things they've done. Like, these states have let themselves burn. And now they're asking for $50 million, money from the federal government. And that's when Trump and them like, well, you guys didn't stop any of this from happening, so no. And now they're crying wolf on that. They thought they were going to let their own place, we'll just burn it up, and then we'll get a bunch of money from the federal government, and that ain't seeming to be happening either. So, what about Jim Mars? What the vision that the Illuminati founder Adam Westpot had for the New World Order? So you said there'd be no spiritual, it'd be a world free kind of religion.
Yeah.
That would be.
Maybe that's what they're doing, trying to not let us go to church because we feel, the Illuminati was created about 250 years ago. Powerful group got together of powerful men. They're going to, from behind the scenes, they're going to control politics and then set up a world government. And we believe, that still is going on now. It's been handed down to very powerful men. And so this guy Weishaupt, he was anti-spiritual. He's really probably a Satanist, really. He was one of the things he said was, he said, the wise ought to take all the means to do good, which the wicked take to do evil. And he said, there is no God after this life. Death is just a long sleep. So these Illuminati deep state guys, they do not believe in a higher power, and they believe in getting power for power's sake, and doing it in any way that's evil. Even they're just very greedy guys.
Yeah,
a lot of people,
and they believe that they can become gods and stuff, like with technology, with the aid of technology, and that they can become very. Yeah, it's quite. That's a good one. So with all this truth, you think with all this truth coming out, with all this, and we'll call this, kind of like what you put here, the MAGA party. We'll call it the MAGA 17 party. Everyone knows what we're talking about. With all this truth flowing out, possibly from people with clearances and not breaking any NatSec security, but just giving us the truth of and where to look at and pointing us in the right direction. Do you think, like you said, if the MAGA party and the Q17 movement, President Trump, are going to take us into the new golden age, has anybody thought that we should form a new political party? That's a pretty good, so we have Republican, Democrat. I mean, do you think the Democrats are going to survive? Are they going to? And the BLM was talking about starting up anew, right? The BLM party or something?
I hope not. Well, I think, the MAGA Q movement is like one of the greatest political movements in the history of the world, right? Millions of people are joining up. Trump has a spotty personality, but he's doing the right things politically. And the people who believe, we want to call it 17 or Q, it's so many people are joining that. So maybe it would be a good idea. This is my fantasy. Maybe it will happen. Maybe Donald Trump's listening to us and he'll start a new party. To start a new MAGA 17 party, MAGA Q party. And because like before the pandemic, Trump was doing things and the economy was the best economy in the history of America. And so there should be a study. What was he doing? And let's form a party to make sure all future presidents are going to do that same thing. One thing I think we need, if we have this new party, I hope it's not a fantasy, I hope we can do it, then we would need every president, not to be a part of any of the secret societies like Council on Foreign Relations or Bilderberg, have non-political guys like Trump. And then the other thing that Trump did was great is fix the free trade agreements. The free trade agreements were allowing corporations to move overseas, and then they pay their workers less, so it was destroying employment in America because all the politicians are controlled by the corporations. Trump's not controlled by that, right? So if in the future we should, and what was it? I think 12,000 factories came back to America before the pandemic, and unemployment was the lowest it's ever been. The stock market was the highest it's ever been. Trump was doing the right thing. So we should form a party that continues to do the right things like this. What else? He was lowering taxes, no regulations, just let the economy be, And so we should figure out whatever Trump was doing right and form a party and keep doing the right thing. And then also we should realize that internet independent sources are real news and not depend on corporate media because that's fake news. It's something Trump taught us, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing I think would be part of the platform. And ultimately eliminate the Federal Reserve because I think a couple of months ago, Trump was, did he do something to try to take control of the Federal Reserve? Because people believe in this stuff.
He still is. He's sitting in a position where it's new and it's different. Like he's at the head of it or something right now. I don't know. We're still digging into all that, but there's been some changes, and that is part of it. If we're gonna get back to being a real country with our sovereignty and going off the Constitution, the Federal Reserve can't really exist. If so, in a much different kind of capacity. If we've gotten so big as a country, we do all this world trading. I get it. That's the whole point of the federal government, was to do our overseas for all the states and the union. It's gotten so out of control. But no, I agree with that. The taxes, low or no taxes, right? Low or no regulations.
Yeah. I mean, the economy was. It's not reported by the media. Before the pandemic, the things Trump was doing, the economy was taking off like it's never took off. So somebody should study what he was doing. He was doing those things, and we should keep doing that. Maybe form a new party. Maybe around your website, Mike. You got a very popular website.
Yes.
Maybe you could start it, and ultimately get rid of the Federal Reserve, because that's the main way that people, the deep state controls it. These super rich guys, they own big banks like the Federal Reserve, and the whole system. Governments should issue their own money instead of borrowing it from a central bank, because then we wouldn't have no debt, and if the money is released in proper proportion, we'll have no inflation. The founding fathers knew that. They knew not having a Federal Reserve central bank is key to a happy society, and I think Trump knows it. He's always talking out against it, and he took some actions to maybe take control of the Federal Reserve, right?
Yeah. What about free energy or something? Trump's possibly, with the Space Force, getting the contracts back from all, because nothing really resides with the federal government anymore. It's with contractors, and then they have all those disclosure paperworks, and they're able to do more. The government quit sending their own federal agents in to be like the undercover Hell's Angel when they wanted to infiltrate them back in the day. It was like that guy couldn't do drugs. He couldn't, they'd much rather use a civilian that they contract, and then that guy can ruin his life with this group and get them all the information. We've seen that in movies like Made in the USA. That, I don't know, the one that went over Barry Seals, the pilot, that they used and abused that man. When he was done, they they let him get killed by the cartel. They don't care. They use you and abuse you. So same with McVeigh. It's we know McVeigh was worked for the CIA now. Never truly got out. He was a sheep dip. We didn't find that out until 2011. And by records, it's oh yeah, he was. And it's man, you guys set the guy up. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, free energy, that could change things as well. Just to kind of add into that, it's if we get this technology back, everyone that's seen a UFO floating around, it's that technology's real, folks. Things you've seen, if you can't explain it, it just to go to think, well, there's a little green man in there. That's what nobody's really ever seen. It's just always the technology. So that's just our government out there playing with things. Can we get that, that technology that they've been holding from us for over 100 years or 50 years at this point, So Edward G. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If we have a president like Trump, who isn't beholden to the oil companies and to this lobbyists, then we can have free energy. I mean, that's the key with Trump.
He doesn't have a reason, right? He doesn't have a dog in the race like some of these other guys do. When you come in talking about free energy and you have a board of people that are invested in the oil, they get a little scared and upset, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the key to this new party, is to have guys not being controlled by the Washington establishment, guys not being controlled by the lobbyists and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is what John Kennedy was, I think. He was he was so wealthy that he wasn't controlled, I think. And the same with Trump. He's not controlled by lobbyists because he's already wealthy, Most of these guys, they get all the things Joe Biden did. My God. I mean, I think he's set up deals for his brother and his son where they get millions of dollars in exchange for political influence. That's typical politics. So when I see him, all these commercials he's doing on TV, trying to knock Trump, I think this guy's a total liar.
Yeah. I think so too. I don't see like he's you go back a few years, he didn't act the way he did now. It's just funny that during the 2016 they had all this stuff made up on Trump. They were using all these things like he's racist, he's this, he's that, he's mentally ill. And that's really clear with Biden this time. It's like everything they projected on Trump last time wasn't true. Everyone bought into it. It's really true for Biden, but nobody believes it or something because the media is not saying it. But you can see it for what it is. So
I know. It's unbelievable they make that guy the nominee because he really looks like he's very close to full dementia, right?
Yes.
I heard lately they've been shooting him with vitamins. He doesn't look that so bad lately, but it's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. So you did interview, and again, you got several books out, folks. This is just the latest one. I don't know if you're working on a new one already. Maybe you are, but again, American Conspiracies. You got to interview Edward G. Griffin, who is like an expert. I actually really admire the guy. I don't know if he does interviews and stuff anymore. That would be somebody else. I know we've had a few, but I would love to have him on the show sometimes. But I know he is an expert on Federal Reserve corrupt system. He actually breaks it down to be kind of like the banana cartels and how they operate and stuff, or not cartel. What do you call it? The banana.
Cartel. That's what he calls it.
Yeah.
The banking system is a cartel. It's a monopoly. But yeah, he might be one of the most admired conspiracy theory authors. So for me to get an interview with him was great. I think he's tough to get too.
Yeah.
But he's having some type of convention in October. Anybody can go to. I think it's in Georgia. If you want to look it up, the Red Pill University, and anybody can go there. But it was great that I got to interview him because so many people admire him, and his book sells all the time, big time on Amazon. And I interviewed him about the Federal Reserve because I think that's at the heart of the deep state corruption, the banking system. Even J.M. Griffin, he said, if you have a case where the government's issuing its own money, not borrowing it, then we don't have to go into debt. We won't have debt. We won't have big taxes. And if the government's issuing the money in proper proportion, then we won't have inflation. So it's a key thing. It's maybe Trump understands that, and hopefully, someday we can get rid of the Federal Reserve. And so many presidents in the past, they've seen that central banking is bad. The founding fathers, they were dead set against a central bank. Abraham Lincoln, he was against it. He said, the government should create and issue all the currency. By the adoption of these principles, the taxpayer will be saved immense sums of interest. Money will cease to be the master and become the servant of humanity. That's what Abraham Lincoln said, and maybe that's one of the reasons he got shot.
Yeah.
Kennedy was going against the central banking too, the Federal Reserve, and he got shot. Andrew Jackson, he was really against it, and there was an attempt on his life. So that's the key way that the bad guys, the Illuminati, the deep state, the rich bastards who want to control everything is through the banking system. But Trump, he's always shows some guts. He's always talking against the banking system, and maybe that needs to be the main platform of the MAGA movement and the Q movement that I got Edward G. Griffin to talk about. That was great. Even Thomas Jefferson said, I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies.
Yes.
The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. And I think that's a main thing for freedom and liberty in America, to be financially free. And no income tax either. That was created in 1913 at the same time as the Federal Reserve,
Yeah.
And it was actually the income tax and the Federal Reserve were put into the Illuminati manifesto in 1789. The guy who found the Illuminati, how can we get to the perfect big brother world government? He said we need an income tax and a Federal Reserve. That's what he wanted. And that's behind communism too, So it's not coming from, what the people need. It's coming from what the deep state, big, rich bankers want to control us, So
I think it was Andrew Jackson, maybe him as well, on his deathbed, they had asked him, what was one of your most favorite things in your life? And he's like, I killed the
killed
bankers.
the bank.
And then, you know, you're like, wow, that was just like, you know, but that goes right on
Maybe
point with what you were saying.
Maybe put that on his tombstone. I think.
Yeah. But you're right. That is the heart of a lot of the issues. You know, I always get told by my loved ones in my life, you know so much about the past, you should do shows on all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I learned all that, and then it's in me. And then when I kicked off this show, I've been at this kind of like, you know, the peak of information, the new things coming out, because I'm following this story that I think's happening. So I know the past. I can do 10 years worth of shows on that stuff, but I just think right now we're at this different, you know, doing what we're doing and trying to inform people. To go back 100 years or 200 years, it bores people. There's no fun way to talk about 1871 and when they killed Abraham Lincoln and some dupage that happened there. I think I've tried. That's one of the main areas I've done several videos on. I got one out finally about a year ago that got 100,000 views. I'm like, finally. I really wanted that chunk of information out, and it's just so hard to get it out and not bore you to death. But
that's what I think. Q has made drops about that, about how the Federal Reserve should be abolished, hasn't it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, somebody asked. He said it would be like highly revamped or reformed or something. But you know, and that's you know. I think Kennedy, like you said, a lot of people are like, well, his father was part of this, and I think he duped things I've read, that he kind of tricked and shook the hands of all these Illuminati people early on. That's how he even got the backing of them to get in. And then for like 13 months or 18 months, he went around, he was collecting things. And then he came out with that speech, you know, secret societies. And then he, you know, did some paperwork to abolish the Fed Reserve. He was going to bring back the greenbacks that Abraham Lincoln had done, that were sitting in the vault. And then they killed the guy. So, yeah, I think he tricked a bunch of people, and they thought they had him. And he's like, oh, no, he's with us. And then he wasn't. So I think we discussed that last episode. This is a great episode, by the way. Between my computer being fixed and, I don't know, it's just, I know we had some issues in the past as far as glitchiness. This has been 100%. I've heard every word you said. Do we hear that, you guys? Is it a 5 of 5? We got about 1,400 people in the room right now. It's been great. So, and we're about that time. Do you want anything to wrap up? Tell the people, you could take a few minutes, and we'll look at a few more things before you head out. But anything you want to kind of? Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say, it seems like Trump is becoming more presidential, isn't he? When he first became president, he was like insulting everybody's looks, and it's right. He hasn't insulted anybody in like 10 months. You know, he hasn't insulted anybody's nose. You know, you got an ugly nose. Or you say my wife is prettier than yours. So in that, I think he's more presidential. You know, when he first got into office, I think he looked sort of uncomfortable. He was trying to get used to it. But I think now he looks presidential all the time, doesn't he? And I think he's doing a good job, you know. And he's not insulting his looks. He didn't tell anybody they got a big nose and they're ugly. So this is good. I think we got to reelect him in about 6 weeks.
What's going on? Hold on here. So I was just trying to read a comment, which I shouldn't do. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on that one. People always say that, like, I liked Obama so much because he just talks so good. And I'm like, well, you can have a liar that is good at lying and can talk soft, or you can have somebody that gets stuff done and isn't real good at, you know, buttering up the toast, or you know, it's like, you know, you can have sweet lies or you can have raw truth. And it's like, I'm kind of liking the raw truth with Trump. As far as, like you said, you know, that's where a lot of people are like, you know, I think he's doing this and that. I just wish he wouldn't tweet so much, or I wish he wouldn't do this. Like, really, you want to limit his First Amendment, you know, the right to speak freely. And I think he's a like you said, non-polished politician that was not good at that. Business, and we all know different business owners. There are some that would be real cutthroat like that, and just, you know, but he's probably good at what he does in that realty game. And I don't know, but I agree. I think he's gotten. I've never had an issue really. You know, maybe early on I was cringe-worthy a little bit with him, but once I realized what was going on, it seems like it's something more to it.
You think they're going to try to? You think there might be shenanigans? They might try to steal the election from him. I
believe this whole vote by mail. You tell me what you think, but I thought it was, like you said, it's perfectly fine to go out and burn and loot, and they're not arresting nobody. There was more reports of the single women out on the beaches in the early COVID stages that they were arresting, like people like a couple were walking on the beach with their dog, and then 8 cops storm those 2 people and they subdue them and they're arrested. And they're the barbershop opened back up and they arrested that lady. They haven't heard of hardly any arrest with the rioting or the looting. They just But and now it comes to voting, and it's got to be vote from home. I don't know. I think a peak would be if Trump wins by the landslide. I mean, these people have not accepted the 2016 win yet, and they're still asking Trump, are you going to accept it if you lose, or are you going to leave the White House? And of course he's like, I don't know, maybe. It's like they're already doing that again. Like, he won't leave if he loses, he said. And he just trolls them. Of course he'd leave if he lost, because that's the rules. I mean, but they ask, and then he says something else, and then they go on for it for 2 months. So I think it's a lot of trolling going on when he does talk anyway. I think the rallies are good. You listen to the rallies, right? I think that's for us. And then you get this crazy stuff on Twitter. You get crazy stuff sometimes on the media. So
I think so many people support him. I think he's going to pull it off again like he did against Hillary. And then we got to form that new Q party, new MAGA Q party. Form it around your channel, because you got so many. You're going to have 1 million people here next year.
We hope. We definitely hope. It's been a rough ride. Trust me on that. Again, we were doing really well. I think we'd be at 1 million. I mean, we were doing that well back in December of 18 into December of 19, January of 19. We were getting 40,000 a month, 30,000 a month in December, 44,000 for the month of January, and then down to 800 subscribers for February. It was like a switch. And then, we were looking into it, and that the owner of YouTube had went on to 60 Minutes and talked about, if you're going to be considered a conspiracy channel by us, we're going to put up these algorithms, and you're going to be seen by 80% less people in their living rooms. I mean, she said that's what they did, and that's what happened. So then we stuck around. That's a lot of people would have gave up at that point. Like, I'm here, but we're not getting to play into the normal game and rules of how this would work, so why would I be here? I'm done. But no, we didn't give up. We figured if we're reaching 5 people, man, I don't care, 1 person. If we're getting 1 person out there kind of hearing me and you and waking up, I'm that's all I've ever wanted. So
good luck. I think the last time I was here you had like 198 subscribers. Now you got like 238.
Yeah,
so
I think we just hit 238 or 239 right before we went live. So 5 of 5, everyone's saying it was great, man. They really appreciated you. Let's do this real quick here. See if I can't pull that up. And I don't have a.
Where's everybody from?
Yes. Let's give a shout out where you guys are from. Tell us where you're beaming in from. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger there. So we got Oklahoma, Alabama, Orlando, the UK, Texas. Somebody said Bong Island. Maryland, Seattle, Kentucky. Oh, you seen it there. We got 1,300 people. New York, Bong Island, Kentucky, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, Canada, St. Louis, Toronto, Canada, Wisconsin, Ohio. That's hard to see all those, man. But you're seeing it. Oregon coast, Michigan, Clearwater, Virginia, Tennessee, England, coming in from across the pond. Where, and can the people right off your website get linked over to the book?
Yes, there's on my website is a link to Amazon. There's a couple of them. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, let me.
Thank you for putting that up, Mike. Thanks a lot.
Yes, no problem. And that you guys, this is a great book. We had 3 lucky Patriots at the Patriot Fest go home with this. I got one here, of course. But yeah, get down below. Let me. I made that black, so that's right here.
I think you're getting more and more views too. I'll let you know when I write another book too.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just trying to look at numbers here. Yeah, wow, we got 1330 in the room. So it was a great evening. I hate shutting down with that many people in the room, but man, I am hot in here. A good hour-long show in this studio with 5 monitors and a server. All right, well, we'll do this again. Let's keep in touch. I want to get back with a few of the other people you've put me in touch with. Sean Stone, for one. So if you can send me that over. Other than that, yeah, Sean Stone, if you're happen to be watching, yeah, send him this episode. Maybe you can kind of see how we flowed. And
all right.
I'd love to get in touch with him. I appreciate you, Douglas, and sending the books, by the way, to the fest. Everyone did appreciate that. Again, American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups.
Thank you, Mike. Keep up the great work. Well, thanks. I hope you got 500,000 subscribers by the next time I see you.
Thank you.
That's what we need, and then we need the new party, and we'll get to the 1,000 years of peace.
All right, Doug. We'll see you again, and we'll chat via. I'm gonna probably send you over my number this time through email. We'll continue on that way. But I want you on frequently, and hey, maybe you could stop by at least at a minimum once a month. For the until after. We'll go to the end of the year that way. We got a few more months, so maybe at least 4 more times on before the end of the year. Maybe more.
Okay.
Maybe more.
Interesting election in 6 weeks. Oh my God!
And I plan on doing a lot for the election night. So maybe if you're around, I don't know if you'll be at some kind of election party, but you can always beam in. You could always beam in this way through a phone, even a phone or a tablet, as long as it's got a good internet. Of course, everything's smaller, but you take a cell phone, you turn it sideways, and you see everything just like you do now. That's how I get people to beam in. I've had people downtown New York beam in and then walk around and turn their phone around and show us everything and then turn it back around. And it's like they're on the show, just as good as you are now.
All right.
So, all right, appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you soon, Doug. Thank you. All right, you guys, we always love it when we have our guests like that on. Again, Douglas Cirignano, get the book. I'm going to put the link down below. You don't want to miss this book here, folks. Lots of good information with lots of experts in the field. There we go. Featuring some New York Times best-selling authors, all right? And I'm sure like Noam Chomsky and G. Edward Griffin and others, all right? Jim Marrs, these are some experts. A lot of collective research in this book here that Doug put together. Great research. We respect his research and him. He's going to be on again. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Sunday evening and some great information. I mean, Martin Luther King, I've heard things trickle that way, but Doug kind of laid it out there. So again, this video is up for you to kind of come back to and watch. We appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed. Share this video across all social media platforms while you can. We are heavily shadow banned and we appreciate it. Again, you like the flag here that we have hanging, the tattered look aluminum, high grade aluminum, polished and painted. We have those on the website, folks, as long as a shirt that I have on, the white shirt. We got the white hats. We got tons of things being added daily. And check that out. Share this video, give it a thumbs up, and get subscribed so you don't miss anything we put out. See you Patriots tomorrow on the next Patriot Hour update. Good evening.
Truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes, starting right here and right now.
That